Hey guys! Alright, we are ready to get into part 4 of Aeschylus's Agamemnon. We are starting from page 129, just under line 680. And what's happened is that we have found out that Menelaus is dead, that the gods kind of brought on this terrible, terrible storm that ended up basically drowning a whole lot of Menelaus' soldiers and Menelaus. So the storm came, basically destroyed the ships that Menelaus and his men were on, and nowhere to be seen. Agamemnon is still alive. He's coming home. He's all good, but it is the end of the line for poor old Menelaus. So let's get started. So we're going to start just under 680, where the herald is just leaving. He's rushing off. He's told us all that he has to know about what happened with the war and Agamemnon, etc., etc., and that he's coming home. And he's told us about Menelaus. Now he's got to go. So he leaves. He rushes out. And now the chorus come back in. Now keep in mind, again, even though I'm not singing this, in traditional ancient Greek theatres, this would have been sung. And it probably would have rhymed and worked as a song. But obviously, A, we're reading it in English, but also B, I have no intention of singing this for you because I care about your mental health. So, you're welcome. Alright, let's go. So the chorus says, What power named the name that drove your fate? What hidden brain could divine your future? Steer that word to the mark, to the bride of spears, the whirlpool of churning armies. Oh, for all the world a Helen. Hell at the prows, hell at the gates, hell on the men of war. From her lair's sheer veils she drifted, launched from a giant western wing, and the long tall waves of men in armour. Huntsmen trailing the oar blades, dying spore slipped into her moorings. Simois' mouth that chokes with foliage, bayed for bloody strife. For Troy's blood wedding day, she drives her word, her burning will to birth the fury late but true to the cause, to the table shamed, and Zeus, who guard the hearth, the fury makes the Trojans pay. Shouting their hymns for the bride, hymns for the kinsman doomed, to the wedding fate of March, Troy changed her tune late in her late age, and I think I hear the dirges mourning. Paris, born and groomed for the bed of fate, they mourn with their life breath. They sing their last, sons of Priam, born for bloody slaughter. Now, so what they're talking about there, what the chorus is talking about there is like that Troy and the men of Troy, particularly Paris and Priam, and the sons of Priam, that the gods and the Furies, remember the vengeful deities, basically they're kind of talking about how because they because they kind of did things that they shouldn't have done, like steal Helen, and that the Furies and the gods have punished Troy, the city of Troy, but also the sons of Priam, and Priam is the king of Troy. Was the king of Troy. He's dead now because they killed them. That's what happens in war. So they're talking about how that Troy has been punished for what Paris did. So a man once reared a lion cub at hall, snatched from the breast, still craving milk, in the first flush of life, a captivating pet for the young, and the old men adored it, pampered it in their arms, day in, day out, just like an infant just born. Its eyes on fire, little beggar, fawning for its belly, slave to food. But it came of age, and the parents' strain broke out, and paid its breeders back. Grateful it was. It went through the flock to prepare a feast, an illicit orgy. The house swarmed with blood. None could resist that agony, massacre vast and raw. From God there came a priest of ruin, adopted by the house to lend its warmth. And the first sensation Helen brought to Troy, call it a spirit, shimmer of winds dying, glory light as gold, shaft of the eyes dissolving, open bloom that wounds the heart with love. But veering wild in mid-flight, she whirled her wedding to a stabbing end, slashed at the sons of Priam, half-mate, friend to the death, sped by Zeus, who speeds the guest, a bride of tears, a fury. There's an ancient saying, old as man himself, men's prosperity will never die childless. Once full grown it breeds, sprung from the great good of fortune in the race, comes bloom on bloom of pain, insatiable wealth. But not I alone say this. Only the reckless act can breed impiety, multiplying crime on crime, while its house kept straight and just is blessed with radiant children. But ancient violence longs to breed. New violence comes when its fatal hour comes. The demon comes to take her toll. No war, no force, no prayer can hinder the midnight fury stamped with parent fury moving through the house. But justice shines in sooty halls, loves the decent life. From proud halls crusted with guilt by filthy hands, she turns her eyes to find the pure in spirit. Spurning the wealth stamped counterfeit with praise, she steers all things towards their destined end. So, what is all that about? Basically, what they're kind of going on about is particularly about Helen of Troy, so the lady who kind of started all of this problems, because Paris didn't necessarily steal her, she kind of like legged it with him back to Troy, that she kind of wanted to be with young Paris instead of Menelaus, who's quite like old and not hot. So she wanted to be with Paris because Paris is hot. So she kind of jumped ship, and they don't really like her. And they're kind of annoyed at her, and kind of saying, well, she and Troy got their comeuppance, and they're not sorry about it, and sucked into Helen, basically. So and they're kind of like angry about that. All of this kind of pain and all of this loss and whatever has been caused by Helen, and that, she wasn't worth it, but she's also like, she's been the one that's brought all of this havoc onto the sons of Priam, onto the sons of Troy. Look at all the chaos and destruction that she and her choices have wrought. So she's, they're kind of like looking, they're kind of glad that Helen has gotten her comeuppance that she has suffered with the rest of them. So yeah, there you go. It's pretty harsh. Although kind of whatever. We'll discuss our opinions of whether Helen is the baddie or not later. So now we're on 132, and Agamemnon has just entered. So it says, Agamemnon enters in his chariot, his plunder borne before him by his entourage. Behind him, half hidden, stands Cassandra. The old men press towards him. Okay, so Cassandra is the cousin of Paris, and Agamemnon has taken her as basically as a mistress, but kind of as a sex slave, really. She wouldn't have been given a choice in the matter. They would have taken her as a slave, and they take her as a slave in order to kind of rub salt in the wound of Troy, that they've taken one of their royal family and basically turned her into a sex slave. So it's about power. But then Agamemnon actually loves her. It's a whole thing. I'm not sure Cassandra feels the same way though, so don't feel too bad for Agamemnon being in love. Don't feel too empathetic because he still did kind of like steal her from her family. And it says that his plunder is borne before him. So plunder is like the gold, the jewels that he would have stolen from Troy. Because once you take over a city, you can basically take whatever you want because it's all yours now. So what he would have done is he and his men would have ransacked the city and taken anything that was valuable. But they don't just take the valuables. What they also do is they take any men that might be useful as slaves, because remember, slavery is very big then. And how you would have gotten slaves is that you would have enslaved anybody whose cities that you destroyed. So they would have taken any men that would have been useful as slaves, and any women that would have been useful as slaves of one nature or another. That would have been part of the deal. So that's what it means, his plunder before him. So it would be valuables, but it also would have been people that had been enslaved. And then behind him, half hidden, stands Cassandra. So Cassandra is with Agamemnon, processing in the chariot. So picture him standing in the chariot hello. And Cassandra's kind of hiding behind him because she's not happy about being there. Okay. And now this is still the chorus, and they kind of press in on him, so they kind of move towards him. And they say, "Come, my king, the scourge of Troy, true son of Atreus, how to salute you, how to praise you, neither too high nor too low, but hit the note of praise that suits the hour. So many prize some brave display, they prefer some flaunt of honour once they break the ground. When a man fails, they share his grief, but the pain can never cut them to the quick. When a man succeeds, they share his glory, torturing their faces into smiles, but the good shepherd knows his flock. When the eyes seem to brim with love, and it is only unction, fawning, he will know better than we can know. That day that you marshalled the armies, all for Helen, no hiding it now, I drew you in my mind in black. You seemed a menace at the helm, sending men to the grave to bring her home, that hell on earth. But now, from the depths of trust and love, I say, well fought, well won, the end is worth the labour. Search, my king, and learn at last who stayed at home and kept their faith, and who betrayed the city." So we've got a nice little bit of foreshadowing there. Remembering that foreshadowing is where you say something that kind of hints at what's going to come in the future. Which is important because remember, they really believed in fate and destiny. So this whole idea of foreshadowing is kind of talking about fate. So I would underline where it says, "Search, my king, and learn at last who stayed at home and kept their faith and who betrayed the city." I'd underline those and just write foreshadowing fate next to it, because obviously that's something we're going to be talking a lot about, so you want to be able to find it easily. And basically he's saying, like, they're praising Agamemnon, and they're like, welcome home, you won, well done, blah, blah, blah. And, praising and saying that, they were worried about this whole war thing, but now he's come back and they're glad that they trusted him. And now Agamemnon speaks to the people of Troy, which are represented by the chorus. First, with justice I salute my Argos and my gods, my accomplices who brought me home and won my rights from Priam's Troy, the just gods. No need to hear our pleas, for once for all they consigned their lots to the urn of blood. They pitched on death for men, annihilation for the city. Hope's hand hovering over the urn of mercy left it empty. Look for the smoke. It is the city's sea mark, building even now. The storms of ruin live. Her last dying breath, rising up from the ashes, sends us gales of incense rich in gold. For we must thank the gods with a sacrifice our sons will long remember. For their mad outrage of a queen we raped their city. We were right. The beasts of Argos, foals of the wild mare, thousands massed in armour, rose on the night. The Pleiads went down, and crashing through their walls, our bloody lion lapped its fill, gorging on the blood of kings. And our thanks to the gods, long drawn out, but it is just a prelude. Okay, so let's talk about that speech. Now, that speech is all about celebrating his victory, that he's like, yeah, I won. He's doing a bit of a victory lap. And basically what he's saying there is like, that we defeated him, and you should have seen the way that we, ground them into dirt. So he says, the storms of ruin live. Her last dying breath, is Troy. Her last dying breath rising up from the ashes. So he's saying, you can look over there and you can see the storms of the ruin live. You can see the fires kind of rising up. Look for the smoke. You can see the smoke of Troy in the distance. And it's right. Her last dying breath is rising from the ashes, and it's sending us gales of incense rich in gold, as in like they've stolen all the gold that, we came back and, with all the treasures of Troy. And so he says, we've got to make a sacrifice, but for that we must thank the gods with a sacrifice. Our sons will long remember. So he's saying, we've got to have a really big sacrifice to the gods to thank them. And he says, for their mad outrage of a queen, meaning Helen, for them kind of saying that Helen was the queen of Troy, we raped their city, we destroyed their city, we were right. The beasts of Argos, the foals of the wild mare, thousands amassed in armour, rose on that night, and crashing through their walls, our bloody lion lapped its fill and gorged on the blood of kings. So he's like, yeah, we smashed them. Yeah, so this is really just pumping up his own tyres, let's be honest. And we don't particularly like Agamemnon, because we know what he did to Iphigenia, his daughter, that he sacrificed his daughter, and we're kind of a bit horrified by that. So, this doesn't really help, that we kind of feel like, God, ranting on about how good you are, calm down, mate. Anyway, then Clytemnestra approaches. Remember, Clytemnestra is Agamemnon's wife, the queen of Argos. And she approaches with her women, always with a posse. They are carrying dark red tapestries. Agamemnon turns to the leader, so the leader of the chorus. Turning over the page. And he's still speaking, Agamemnon. And he says, and your concern, old man, is on my mind. I hear you and agree. I will support you. How rare men with character to praise a friend's success without a trace of envy. Poison to the heart, it deals double a blow. Your own losses weigh you down, but then look at your neighbour's fortune and you weep. Well, I know. I understand society, the flattering mirror of the proud. My comrades, they're shadows, I tell you, ghosts of men who swore they'd die for me. Only Odysseus, I dragged that man to the wars, but once harnessed, he was a trace horse. He gave his all for me. Dead or alive, no matter, I can praise him. And now this cause involving men and gods, we must summon the city for a trial, found a national tribunal. Whatever's healthy, shore it up with the law and help it flourish. Wherever something calls for drastic cures, we make our noblest effort, amputate or wield a healing iron, burn the cancer at the roots. Now I go to my father's house. I give the gods my right hand, my first salute. The ones who sent us forth have brought me home. Okay, so here, now he's talking particularly to the people of Argos, who were saying that since you've been gone, their city has kind of fallen apart. And he says, well, I'm back and I agree with you and I'll support you. We need to fix the city, and I'm going to support you on that. I understand your losses weigh you down, but, then look at your neighbour's fortune. Look around you. Look at, these men who have come back, ghosts of men who swore they'd die for me. That they're going to get through it. But obviously, look around. This has not been great for anyone. They haven't been off in Troy partying. Like it's been hard. So basically he talks of rebuilding the city. So from 8:30, it's all about rebuilding the city. That he's, we're going to summon the city for a trial. We'll found a national tribunal. Whatever's good, we're going to shore it up. Like whatever's working in Argos, we'll shore it up. We'll protect it. We'll grow it. And whatever's not working, we're going to amputate or burn it out. And then he says, look, I gotta go, man. I gotta go. We'll talk more later. I've got to go thank the gods, because they're the ones that brought me home. So then he starts down from the chariot. So he climbs down from the chariot and then looks at Clytemnestra. He sees his wife, stops, and then offers up a prayer. He says, victory! Victory is another Greek god. Victory! You have sped my way before, now speed me to the last. As in, like, thank God I'm home. Look, honey, I'm home. Clytemnestra turns from the king to the chorus. So she turns away from Agamemnon and she speaks to the chorus. And then she says, old nobility of Argos, gathered here, I am not ashamed to tell you how I love the man. I am older, and the fear dies away. I am human. Nothing I say was learned from others. This is my life, my ordeal, as long as the siege he laid at Troy, and more demanding. First, when a woman sits at home, and the man is gone, the loneliness is terrible, unconscionable, and the rumours spread and fester. A runner comes with something dreadful, close on his heels the next, and his news worse. And they shout it out, and the whole house can hear, and wounds. If he took one wound for each report to penetrate these walls, he's gashed like a dragnet. More, if only he'd died. For each death that swelled his record, he could boast like a triple-bodied Geryon raised from the grave. 3 shrouds I dug from the earth, one for everybody that went down. The rumours broke like fever, broke and then rose higher. There were times they cut me down and eased my throat from the noose. I wavered between the living and the dead. So, Clytemnestra there is talking to the chorus about what it's been like for her back in Argos, and that, like, you know, it isn't just them that suffered, and it isn't just the warriors of Troy that have suffered. She has suffered too, that she's been sitting there waiting. You know, the loneliness is terrible. It's unconscionable what it's like to wait for your husband to come home and just told to sit there and wait. And then the thing that she really talks about is that she's, you know, being besieged by rumours, and that people have tried to, you know, spread all these rumours about her, and it's you know, been, you know, really difficult to work through and deal with, because everybody's been kind of, you know, making up stuff behind her back. So I mean, just so hard for me because everybody just talks about me all the time. And then she turns to Agamemnon and she says, "And so, our child is gone, not standing by our side. The bond of our dearest pledges, mine and yours. By all rights our child should be here. Aristeas, you seem startled. You needn't be. Our loyal brother-in-arms will take good care of him. Strophios, the Phaeacian, he warned from the start we courted two griefs in one. You risked all on the wars, and what if the people should rise up for the king, and anarchy should dash our plans? Men, it is their nature, trampling on the fighter once he's down. Our child is gone. That is my self-defence, and it's true. For me, the tears that welled like springs are dry. I have no tears to spare. I'd watch till late at night. My eyes still burned. I sobbed by torch that I lit for you alone." Glancing towards the palace, so she looks back at the palace. Now, so that's all about Iphigenia, that she's talking about, like, that our child is gone, not standing by our side. She's talking about the child that he sacrificed in order to go and fight this war. And here, where it says, "Men, it is their nature, trampling on the fighter once he's down. Our child is gone. That is my self-defence, and it is true." That she's saying, you know, there was a time where I really grieved, and you know, the men of Argos, they really trampled on me once I was down. But, you know, now I'm over it. Or she's saying she's over it. She's not over it. She's not over it. She's not over it. For me, the tears that welled like springs are dry. She's saying it's okay. I'm over it. I have no tears to spare. It's fine. I've dealt with it. She hasn't dealt with it. She's still really angry. She's really angry. But yeah, so she's kind of saying these things, but we know that it's not necessarily true. And she says, "I never let it die, but in my dreams, the high, thin wail of the gnat would rouse me, piercing like a trumpet. I could see you suffer more than all the hours that slept with me could even ever bear. I endured it all, and now, free of grief, I would salute that man, the watchdog of the fold, the main royal, saving stay of the vessel, rooked oak that thrusts the roof sky high, the father's one true heir, the land of dawn to the shipwrecked past all hope, light of the morning, burning off the night of storm, the cold clear spring of the parched horseman. Oh, the ecstasy, to flee the yoke of fate. It is right to use the titles he deserves. Let envy keep her distance. We have suffered long enough." And she reaches towards Agamemnon. So she's like, I've endured it all. I'm free from grief. You know, we're back. You know, we've escaped what we thought was going to be your fate of death. But, you know, well done. So she reaches towards Agamemnon and she says, "Come to me now, my dearest." Remember, she actually is just pretending. She really wants to kill him. Come to me now, my dearest. Come down from the car of war, but never set the foot that stamped out Troy on the earth again, my great one. So she's kind of like wanting him to come here, but, she's saying, we want to carry you. You're just, you're too precious. Like you've just done all these amazing things. And then she's talking to her posse. She says, women, why delay? You have your orders. Pave his way with tapestries. So she's telling them to all lay down these beautiful tapestries so that he never has to walk on the earth again, because he's far too amazing to ever have to do that. So they lay out this beautiful red carpet for him to walk up so that he doesn't have to get his feet dirty, because he's so great that he doesn't deserve to get his feet dirty. So they begin to spread the crimson tapestries between the king and the palace doors. She says, quickly, let the red stream flow and bear him home, to the home he hoped never to he never hoped to see. Justice, lead him in. Leave all the rest to me. The spirits within me never yields to sleep. We will set things right. With God's help, we will do whatever fate requires. So this is, her trying to kind of, just sneaky, pretend like she's cool with it. And then when he comes in, then she's going to get him. So she's like, no, I'm over it. I'm totally over it. Like, I know you killed my daughter, and like, I was like super mad about it, but like, I've totally changed. It's been 10 years and I'm fine with it now. Like, I totally get it. Like, it's totally so that's where we're at. So I'm going to stop there before Agamemnon talks. So we are going to finish, 905, 906, 907. I'm going to stop at 907. And we'll pick up next lesson. Don't forget to now go across to do your questions. And I will see you later, alligators. Don't forget your toilet papers. I'll see you soon. Be good. And make sure you do those questions by the end of the day so that I know that you have watched this and that you know what's going on. Okay. Bye. See ya.